Yeah, I like this right here. Makes me feel free. It's got that, that boom. Ba-dum, bum, ba-da-da-da-da, Mr. Ba-dum, bum, ba-da-da-da-da, world. Ba-dum, bum, ba-da-da-da-da, wide. Let's just I'm free to do what I want.
All right, that's right. Amanda Head is joining us. She has the right view from the left coast, the land of fruits and nuts, but not her. Are you there, Amanda?
I'm here. How are you?
Hey, good to have you on board. It's just us ladies today.
Yay, ladies' night.
Yeah. Well, on the week where there was a day without women, how is it that we're in charge? We're here. I don't know. We should protest or something.
Well, because we know that our rights are not in danger, so there's no reason to not come to work. And also, we're responsible, contributory individuals. So.
Oh, my. Blast you, Amanda. Why must you use logic and rationale?
I know.
So speaking
that
of,
got me in trouble this week. That's for sure.
Did it? Were you around? Did you see some ladies with their special hats and other body part paraphernalia walking around again like they did in Washington?
I actually did not. And I live in Hollywood, so the only action that Hollywood saw this week was actually last night. There was a car chase that ended at the intersection of Hollywood and Highland, and they had to throw out what is it called, the tacks, or the what is it called, the nail strips or whatever.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So that's really actually the only action, and I was very impressed that day I was strolling around my neighborhood, and I never really noticed what colors women are wearing anyway, but I actually didn't notice anybody wearing red, because the deal was is if you didn't want to refrain from working, then you were supposed to wear red in solidarity, which is ironic because red is Republican colors.
It really is ironic. And who's the person who came out with that particular color? Because wasn't it all pink in Washington? And why are we changing colors up?
They apparently chose red because it's the color of love. Yeah. I mean, that just shows you how much sense they make. And it shows you how the message of the Democratic Party and liberals is ever evolving and ever changing to fit their narrative, because, over the inauguration weekend, it was pink. In the last few weeks, it's been pink. Now it's red. It'll probably be neon green next week.
Really?
I feel bad for all these people that are protesting. They have to buy an entirely new wardrobe.
Yeah, right. Keep them running around trying to find all these colors. This is the color code of the week for your protest.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah.
I mean, we just had Valentine's Day where women are shown love, and that's where red applies, the red roses and chocolates and all of that. So I would think that this is kind of confusing. Why are we going back to red? I don't know. Who can figure that all out? So what did you experience over there on the day that all the women were supposed to not show up to work and make everybody, I guess, appreciate them more by them not being there? It's so confusing. I don't understand it, but what's your take on it?
I'm not really sure how putting your job in jeopardy shows how responsible you are and how essential you are to the workplace. If I was an employer and I had female employees who didn't show up to work, I'd say, all right, well, we'll just fill your position with someone who is willing to show up.
Yeah.
But I did get a tweet from a friend of mine. I use that term loosely because this person used to be in my life when I was back in my partying days here in Hollywood. So it was more just kind of like an acquaintance that I saw when I was out.
Uh-huh.
But I tweeted, I said something to the effect of your merit or your employment is based on your merit, not your gender. You don't think that your merit warrants you showing up for work? I agree. Because, if you're not showing up for work, then you obviously don't have, a very strong commitment to your job and to your employers, and you don't recognize the fact that, this is, you perform a skill that is essential enough to the job that they hired you. But I want to read something that I posted on that day because I think it's very important. So, they had a day without a woman, and it said, do not engage in paid and unpaid work. And it crossed that out, and it said, go to work, excel in your field, improve your resume, don't damage your career for a misguided campaign. And where it said avoid spending money, that was crossed out, and it said invest in money, open a savings account, place a down payment on a house, use your money to build a better life. And where it said wear red in solidarity, I love this part. It says wear whatever you want because you're smart, went to work, and have money to spend on things you like.
Uh-huh. So who did the crossing out and rewriting? It was just a meme?
Yeah, it was a meme that I posted.
Okay.
You know, and the tweet that I said about, you know, your employment based on your gender, not your merit, or based on your merit, not your gender.
Yes.
I had a friend of mine who, this aforementioned person, who text messaged me and said, I had no idea that you were so against women's rights.
Oh.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm not against women. I'm not against men. I'm not for women, and I'm not for men. This is a meritocracy, or it should be. You know, I am for people with merit, people with character, people with skills, people with education, people with talent, people who actually deserve jobs. I don't care if you're black, white, male, female, any religion. I don't give a crap, because you should be based, your employment should be based on, you know, your skills for the job. And this is something I want to bring up, because when I ask women exactly what rights it is, other than abortion rights, which obviously is the number one thing that they're screeching from the hilltops about, but this gender wage gap myth. And I'm sure a lot of your listeners know about Dennis Prager. The PragerU videos, you can find them on YouTube. You can find them on the Prager website as well.
I've heard of them.
They have a video on the gender wage gap. And I'm just going to summarize it, but I definitely want to cite that as my source, because go and watch this video. But just to summarize it, so, you know, there's supposedly this 23-cent gap. There's this women supposedly earn 77 cents on every dollar that men make. But if for the same work, they only have to pay women 77 cents, why aren't they only hiring women? You know, worker pay is, for most businesses, the number one expenditure.
Sure.
So are businesses just stupid or what? No. Okay, so here's the issue. So that number is based on the median earnings of all women working full-time divided by the median earnings of all men working full-time. But that doesn't take into account things like occupation, position, education, hours worked per week. So here's another thing. The top 5 majors that are the top 5 earning majors are petroleum engineering, pharmaceutical sciences, math and computer science, aerospace engineering, chemical engineering. Of those 5 top earning fields, 4 of the 5 are male dominated. And I'm not talking like 52%. I'm talking 67%, 88%, 72%, 87%. The top or the 5 lowest earning majors in college are counseling and psychology, early childhood education, theology and religious studies, human services and community organization, and social work. And guess what? 4 of those 5 are dominated by women, and not just by a small margin, 88%, 81%, 97%, and 74%. So this gender wage gap, it truly is a myth. And a very liberal organization did a closer study taking into account the things that I mentioned earlier: position, hours worked per week, education, occupation. They found that there's really only a 6-cent disparagement, and that was actually that's even negligible within itself, because it has to do with choices that women make in the workplace. You know, working overtime, working out, like for instance in the nursing field, working the nighttime hours that a lot of people don't want to work. So it's such a myth. And so when I talk to women about this, and they're like, oh, you know, women's earnings are lower than men, and I'm like, well, actually, you know, you got to talk about it a little bit. And oftentimes, once I explain that to people, they get it, and then sometimes they just, you know, cover their earmuffs, and blah 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 blah. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear logic.
Right. You know, you would think with all these women who are out there pushing for women's rights, especially in the area of choice, you know, women should have a choice, especially when it comes to abortion. But at the same time, with this study, it's not factoring in the fact, it's just strictly going by numbers. It's not factoring in that there's a lot of choice that's involved in this outcome of women and their careers, where they're choosing to go. And that's affecting this ratio, this 23-cent gap that they're, you know, screaming and yelling about. But there's a choice involved. So what are you saying? Which do you want? Do you just want to even the numbers? Or do you actually want to also continue to have a choice there? Because women are choosing the lower income occupations, careers, because that's what they want to do.
Yeah, if you think that working full-time as a social worker, you should earn the same as someone working full-time in energy engineering, someone who's trying to find renewable energy, sorry.
Right. They're not. Are they going to? Are they willing to go out on the oil rig to figure out all the dynamics and the math that's involved in doing that exploration? No.
Yeah.
So
Are you willing to suit up and work in a nuclear power plant every day? Probably not.
and they're choosing to stay in a classroom, far less risk, and with that comes lesser pay because that's just the nature of the risk. You're paying.
And I'm not knocking teachers. Teachers are an essential part of our society. But when it comes to, like you said, safety hours, things like that, specifically in the nursing field, men work, I think it was like 3 times more often night shifts than women. So, I'm not saying that men are tougher than women or anything like that. I think that women have a lot more intestinal fortitude than men do. But, there are fields that men gravitate to that just have a higher pay.
Yes, I agree. All right, you're listening to Amanda Head, the Hollywood conservative, and we'll be back in just a flash.
This is Yellowhammer Radio.
Welcome back to Yellowhammer Radio, Superstation 101.1 WYDE. We are talking to a woman who loves to talk, and her last name is Head. So, did she choose to be a talking head, or did it choose her? Ooh, Amanda. I still got you online, right?
Yep, I'm here.
All right, good. So we were talking about the Day Without a Woman March and all of that, and I couldn't. At the same time this week, another story came out that I want to talk about, and it has to do with another woman, Ivanka Trump, who is very much an entrepreneur like her father in the selling of women's clothing. Turns out that the group of women who wanted to kind of gang up and boycott the sale of her items through different stores, they're not getting much headway because apparently, regardless of the fact that some of her clothing has been taken out of stores like Neiman Marcus and what was the other one, Nordstrom, she's reporting record sales. So there's some women out there that aren't buying into this feminism gang up.
Yep. People tend to vote with their wallet, and especially Republican women. So the woman who began this hashtag Grab Your Wallet boycott campaign tweeted, I believe it was last night. She posted on Twitter that she was adding or re-adding Neiman Marcus back to her boycott list because Neiman Marcus and Nordstrom had pulled all of the Ivanka Trump items from their stores. Now, she posted a picture of these 2 Ivanka cocktail rings that are back on the Neiman Marcus website. And she posted an image of these 2 gorgeous rings. So I see them, and I'm like not even paying attention to her tweet. I'm just noticing how gorgeous these rings are. But one thing, like, does this woman really have that much time to troll all of the department store websites and see if they have Ivanka Trump stuff on their website? And another thing is...
Yeah, really, that's a massive undertaking when you think about it. I mean, that takes a lot of time.
Yeah, hashtag too much time on your hands, hashtag loser. So she's trying to boycott this brand, and yet she's also advertising in the process because she's posting pictures of this. But here are the numbers. So it's a privately held company, so they don't disclose their sale figures. But it's estimated that the Ivanka merchandise dropped 26% in January as compared to January of 2016, and I assume that that's because of the inception of this campaign. But in February, it grew by an estimated 207%. Now, because a lot of these stores have dropped the line from their websites and from their physical brick-and-mortar stores, Amazon has become the number 1 retailer and provider of her merchandise. They replaced Nordstrom, and her sales have surged to 332% on Amazon.
Wow, talk about a backfire.
So if that's their version of boycott, then let's just boycott all of these conservative-backed businesses.
Really? Right. I know. It's funny, too, because, like you said, she tweets out the pictures and inadvertently advertises the very thing she wants nobody to know about, look at, or much less buy. So how smart...
She apparently doesn't understand the concept of boycotting.
Right. So it's just interesting that this whole thing is just really coming back to fall on them in a way that I don't think they anticipated. It's probably better for them just to just be quiet at this point and go away than to bring any more attention to the fact that she's doing quite well.
Yep, absolutely.
So
but they don't get that, you know.
No, they don't. They don't understand that, you know, there's a group of women out there that are not willing to buy into what they're trying to push. And
look, I totally understand boycotting. That is the glory of the freedom that we enjoy in this country. It's the freedom to buy or not buy whatever you want. I keep a running boycott list in my phone. Anything involving Meryl Streep, Quentin Tarantino, Ben and Jerry, Seth Rogen, American Apparel, Chrysler, Lena Dunham, The Gap, Starbucks, Kellogg's, Pepsi, and Target. I don't watch movies with those people. I don't listen to music that involves any of those people. I don't shop at those stores. I mean, I never really did anyway, because Targets here in Los Angeles, if you've ever been to LA or a big city, Targets are a pain in the butt to go to because you have to park in the parking deck. And yeah, it's just a pain. So I don't shop there anyway. American Apparel, not really my style, neither is The Gap. So it's really no skin off my back. Now, if it's something that, you know, for instance, Starbucks. So I get migraines. What helps my migraine prescription work better is caffeine. If I was on a deserted island and all there was Starbucks, obviously I'm not so stupid that I'm going to inflict myself with a longer migraine because of my political convictions. You know, I would like to think that I'm a little bit more logical. But like I said, that's, you know, voting with your wallet. This is just another form of that. And I vote for these conservative companies. And so I bought a pair of Ivanka Trump shoes that are so cute, and I can't wait till they come.
Oh, really? So you haven't gotten them yet, but they're on the way.
They're on the way, and I waited to purchase them until this A Day Without Women.
Oh, okay.
Because they said don't buy anything. So I decided to not only buy things online, but I bought Ivanka Trump things online.
Oh, man. Amanda, beautiful. Double diss.
Sticking it to the man, to the woman.
Sticking it to the women.
Yeah.
And if you don't mind me asking, did you go on Amazon to do this?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I
hey,
can't remember the specific style of the shoes, but they have these like frilly little like fringy things on the toe. They're like strappy sandals. They're really cute.
Well, I'm going to have to go look. I've seen several women who are more conservative that I follow for their articles on Twitter, but one of them was tweeting out about her Ivanka Trump dress, and she says she loves it. It's comfortable and just sleek, and I'm like, wow. You know what? I would never think about going, and I just never necessarily follow a particular celebrity or fashion person, but maybe in this case
and
I
will.
will.
I think that's a recurring theme with her clothing line, because she is, you know, a relatively self-made woman. She has her own company, you know, her charities and such. So she values comfort and versatility and durability in her clothing, being a 9 to, I don't know, probably not 5, probably 9 to like 9 type of workplace woman. So those are the things that's a general theme across the board for all of her merchandise, it seems.
Yeah, you know, you mentioned also the whole thing, the idea of boycott, which I don't shop at Target anymore ever since their transgender thing. It just tells me the leadership is more concerned about minute and peripheral political issues than necessarily the shopping experience for me and my family. If they're going to ignore the vast majority of people that are going to be walking through those doors and their comfortability in order to, you know, fulfill some sort of politically correct agenda, it's like I don't necessarily want my money going to help you if I can find everything else.
I think, you know, businesses like Target and Starbucks predicted that the pendulum would continue to swing in the politically correct direction. I don't think that they projected that, A, that Trump would win, or B, that the country would swing back in the direction of conservatism. So I wouldn't be surprised if they softened a little on some of these liberal stances.
Yeah, so how do you think Starbucks is going to pull out? Because a report came out this week that they are losing money ever since they vowed to hire 10,000 refugees in the next 5 years. I think they've seen a 30% drop in customers going there.
I think Credit Suisse, who is their finance firm, basically said that they had lost a lot of money. And, you know, this whole hiring 1,000 refugees, it's like everyone has said all along, why not hire 10,000 veterans? And so I don't know. And who's keeping tabs, really? I mean, is anybody really keeping tabs on whether they are going to actually fulfill this 10,000 person hire?
Right.
I think that it will be one of those things that they will hope just kind of falls by the wayside and it doesn't get mentioned again.
Right. There's no feasible way to track it. It's just the point that the CEO, Howard Schultz, felt the need to make a statement on this particular thing. Out of all the different issues out there that you could, like you said, you could devote towards veterans or people with disabilities or low income minorities that are American.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is pretty on par with Starbucks, though. I mean, the reason that I decided to boycott them, and this was a few years ago, this has nothing to do with the 10,000 refugee hire, but it was because he said that if you are in support of traditional marriage and only traditional marriage, then that he doesn't want your business.
So you took it elsewhere. Yeah. I did not know that he said that. Well, I will definitely rethink my next visit, I haven't had one in months, so it may never happen again. Interesting.
Yeah. So it's on par with his ideology. So I can do without Starbucks. We have a ton of great like little mom and pop coffee shops here in California.
Oh, I bet.
And I'm not
good.
really a coffee snob anyway. I'm like a Mr. Coffee $25 coffee pot kind of person. So I don't really care.
Yeah, it goes a lot further.
I don't need fancy coffee.
It goes a lot further with your money that way. Well, it'll be interesting to see if Starbucks holds that kind of entrenches itself like Target has in ignoring the facts that their statement.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see if they ever bring it up again.
Yeah, well, yes, definitely. We'll see. All right, we'll keep our eyes on Starbucks and Targets, and we'll go shopping for Ivanka Trump clothes and compare when we meet up again, okay? I want to hear about those shoes. All right.
All right.
Thanks for calling Amanda Head. That was the Hollywood Conservative. She comes in every Friday, and we really appreciate her spending time with us. Hey, you have a great weekend, Amanda. Hey, you have a great weekend, Amanda. Hey, you have a great weekend, Amanda. Hey,